Welcome everyone to my podcast. It's number 14 and master your emotion and find your truth. So definitely today we're going to talk about acceptance. But before we dive into that topic, I would like to give you some information and also I would like to introduce my guest today, a beautiful soul. But I would like to give you some around the numbers because number 14 and there's 1 and 4 is equal 5. So everything is aligned today, like always. Like always, my podcast is aligned with another soul, which one is bringing a lot of information and a lot of knowledge to that podcast. I couldn't stress enough how beautiful is. So number 14, what does the number 14 mean? Definitely in the spirituality. Definitely in the spirituality, because this is a community and this is a tribe of the awakening souls, definitely. So number 14 is a number of the transformation. Number 14 is about the spiritual growth. And number 14 also is a harmony, peace, align. So that's the beauty today, because acceptance is aligned with, is connected with that stuff as well, transformation. Anyway, we're going to dive in. But I would like to give you another information. So 1 and 4, which is number 5, but which is number 5 is a 5 number love plus marriage. So you can marriage that acceptance and you can bloom a glow. Oh my goodness, you can evolve in the life. So you can accept all together, because like in the marriage, I was just only going far more away, but you don't have to marry the physical person. You can marry yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would like to only bring that only briefly, because if anyone listening us, just go dive in to the numerology and you can see a lot of synchronicity in your life. By the way, I would like to introduce again, Marc and the soul integration coach. He's an amazing, beautiful soul. And we've done a few podcasts already. So if anyone didn't watch yet, so I recommend you go on my YouTube channel or Instagram and you can find Marc as well. And also you can find under my video some description about him, what he's doing, and what he's serving the best. So would you like, welcome, Marc. Oh, anyway, I would like to say very warmly welcome, accepting my invitation again. How are you feeling?
Yes, I'm doing well. So happy to be here. So happy to be here. I'm
Perfect.
grateful for this opportunity. I do want to, you're talking about the fives. I want to throw a little story out there.
Oh,
This
yes,
is an
please.
experience I had relating to fives. It's about a week or two after my mom passed back in 2018. We were away for a couple of nights, and in the hotel room, 5:55 a.m., my wife's cell phone alarm goes off, and it wasn't set. This was, shortly after my mom passed. So 5:55 a.m., the phone starts dinging, the alarm. So we jump up, didn't know what it was, grab the phone, 5:55. So these are messages. And specifically around my mom, there's always been a lot of fives. And that relates to transformation and change. And there was a lot of work that I was doing with her before she passed, healing work, moving through some of her energetic blockages, getting her into a state of peace and acceptance as to what was happening around her. She died unexpectedly, but there was a lot of work that was going into that, leading up to that. Nobody knew that was going to happen. But when we look back at these situations and we realize the synchronicities with the numbers and the fives, so many instances of seeing that before she passed and after she passed, just brings us back to knowing that we are connected to a higher divine source energy. And it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's definitely. You mentioned number 5, but I also as the 5 is aligned with the freedom. So when you accept yourself,
Yes.
you can free yourself. Yeah. So today,
Yes.
let's go maybe
Mm-hmm.
dive in, or if you would like to say something to the audience before we're going, just dive in around a little bit, because some of the audience maybe just only seeing you first time and they didn't know what kind of the service are you offering, or just only a little bit briefly.
Yeah, I'm a spiritual coach, an ascension guide, and I help people move through their energetic blockages. Energy is all stored within the body. From our traumas, we create these blockages, things that we refuse to accept about ourselves and feel. And as we become adults, they start to manifest out into our reality in different situations and triggers and things like that. And I work with people to really detach from that, to really fully, finally feel it and not align with it and become it, because we tend to repeat patterns over and over again when we deny these aspects of ourselves that are really looking for our love and our compassion and our acceptance. Yeah. So I work with people to go through that and really heal and get in touch with their higher selves, their spirit guides, and those types of things. So that's what I do. So my website is soulintegrationcoach.com. I've got all the information there. I'm on YouTube at Marc Abrams, over 400 videos about my experiences, about healing, about going through dark night of the soul, the ascension process, things like that. I've got a podcast, Cosmic Light Body. It's on Apple, Spotify, a whole host of podcast services. Couple courses out there on Udemy. And I'm launching a new healing modality that came to me from the Arcturians about 1.5 years ago. So that's something that's going to be coming out very soon. I'm going to have my first class or live course on Zoom in March, and that's called Quantum Light Body Anchoring. So that's about anchoring your light body and finding these areas where you are not quite connected and getting into them and healing them to fully align with your divine source energy. So a lot of exciting things happening.
It is, because when you're talking about all your courses, all the beautiful stuff, which is all the beautiful projects, I've got a little goosebumps on my body, just in my body, just only picking up that energy. That's, oh God, that would be so amazing. Yeah. So I'm inviting everyone, go and grab your seats, because actually they will be having the seats in front of their computer, but definitely just grab the space, because probably the space are limited sometimes. Okay, so let's go dive in about the acceptance. Would you mind just only say a little briefly, or maybe you can go dive deep, I don't know, that's your choice, of course, like always, free will, I would like to say, as an acceptance through the spiritual eyes and also through the psychological eyes, I mean, the three-dimensional world, how we can see the self-acceptance or just only acceptance, because sometimes the people just only got a different meaning and different perspective. So how is yours?
Well, let's broaden it. Let's talk about acceptance in terms of life, because when we start with what we're going throughout our day, we tend to feel that energy come up, that dense energy. Maybe there's something that happens we don't want to deal with, something unexpected, something that kind of throws us off our game, right? And then the mind gets involved and we start to spiral off out of control. And before you know it, you're at the end of the day, you're completely exhausted, you're completely drained. And you look back and you're like, what the heck happened? And that's because a lot of times we have this programming come up, situations arise, and we resist them. We resist what we're being shown in the moment, which is an opportunity to feel something that we have been denying for a long, long time. So we accept, when we can learn to accept that process and breathe and allow this energy to move through us, life becomes so much more peaceful, so much more graceful and fun.
Yeah. But sometimes the people didn't understand quite. They're not ready to open for that, because they really, their body is really holding that fears, that blockages. So
it's holding it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's holding. Yeah. Don't want to lose it. Well, that's mine. So how you can tell somebody who really, really would like to drop that weight from their body, I would like to say literally drop it. So how they can recognize inside them, they've got really, so like Gisoni mentioned, they've got the emotion, but they distracting themselves. So can you tell a little bit more around how they're distracting, how you can spot that stuff inside you, around you?
Yes. We're going to attempt to make this as simple as possible. I think a lot of times people overcomplicate processes and looking for different processes to be able to get out of their monkey mind, their overthinking mind, whatever. Very simple. Something that we have always with us everywhere we go is our breath. Our breath. So the first key is to recognize when you're starting to identify with your thoughts. You're spinning out of control. Something comes up. Maybe you get an email and it triggers you and you feel something within your body. It doesn't feel good. And your mind starts to rev up about all sorts of situations or conditions around this particular email. that's the point where if we could bring a little bit of awareness to that, as soon as that starts to happen, we could detach from the mind and the thoughts and pull our awareness back into our body. And we could do that with breath. It's just a simple, just breathing in will detach you. The key is to be able to recognize when the mind starts to fly off like that. And that's what I work with people in doing.
Okay.
And it becomes easier the more that you do it. You know, we're retraining ourselves. We're creating new habits and new patterns. So recognition of that is the first step.
Okay, so when you recognize or something like a distracting or my body is shaking, because sometimes the people are freaking out about my body is shaking, something's
Anxiety,
wrong. I have to go to the doctor because something's really wrong. I've got a lot of disease, and they just only putting on the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's only the trauma is stored in the head body or his body, their body.
And that's all programming, right? Isn't that programming? Because when we have a pain, and this happens with me too, because I still have programming around that, when something hurts or something, it starts to come up and it's like, okay, there's something wrong. So right now we're going into programming when we start to think that there's something wrong, and we're not accepting the fact that something is rising up to be experienced in that very moment. But the mind starts to create a story around it, and we get caught up in the story, and that's all based on programming.
So how we can stop just creating that story? How we can stop exaggerating that stuff in our life?
Awareness of when it's happening. Awareness of when it's happening. When we start to spin out of control like that, we have a choice. Stop, hit that pause button and take a breath. Take a breath. Bring your awareness back to your body. Your mind can't focus on two things at one time. It can multitask, but a multitask is a switching back and forth really, really rapidly, really, really quickly, but it can't focus on more than one thing at a time. So when we could pull it back into the body with the breath, we will feel something physiologically change within us. We will get out of that tense, anxious fight or flight mode, and we'll start to soften. We'll start to feel the tension in our shoulders and our neck relieve. When we could breathe into the body, no fancy breath work technique is needed. Just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and become present with the body. That's the first step that will detach you from your thoughts. And everything in that moment you can recognize as perfect. When you can detach from your thoughts, you're alive, you're breathing, you're present. Everything is perfect, and you accept that. That's the moment we accept.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful said. But how we can see, or how you can see the connection between, if any connection, and how you can see the connection, okay? So how you can see that between the self-love and acceptance. Is self-love is going to help us to accept ourselves, accept any situation in our life?
Self-love will come out of acceptance, because when we get present, what happens is we realign with our source energy. So think of it this way. So if this is me, oneness right here in my hands, when my mind starts to take me off into a story because I get triggered by something, we separate. We start to go off, our energy separates, and we really lose an aspect of ourselves in the story. So when we could come back home, come back to the body, we're pulling it back in to that wholeness, to that state of oneness. We're bringing our energy back. And when we accept that and feel that beautiful acceptance, we start to relax. What happens is we're releasing energy that was stuck somewhere within our body. It starts to flow. And as it flows, we become even more present, and we become even more anchored in the body. Gabriela, I've literally felt, for me, when I do this and I get back into my body, I feel like I'm really pressing a valve deep in my root. Now I will get in and I will breathe into my root chakra, I'll breathe into my solar plexus, and I will feel like I'm literally pushing a valve.
Oh, wow.
I'll feel it. And that valve, when I press it, allows energy to flow up through the rest of my body.
Wow, it's amazing.
And that gets me more centered. So I could literally feel that. And the more that you practice this, and we'll talk about
practice
how to make this available when you need it. The more that you practice this, the easier it becomes, and the more sensitive you're going to be to the energy. You're going to really feel that energy start to flow. And that's when you bring it all back together. You can feel that energy flow through you.
Yeah, that's what I would like to say about the practice, because I'm not saying everyone is going to happen over the night. I don't know how about you, but I'm sensing you also usually keeping the practicing, and you can be the master of that emotion, because that's all the emotions. But I would like to just only give the audience as well my example. For example, today something scared me, and my legs were started shaking. Like I was just only really shaking. I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And then I started laughing, because I knew it. That's just only the rest of my trauma, of my baggage. So I said, okay, just I'm letting you go, and just only shake it off, and then that's it. I'm going to laugh.
Yeah.
And I'll be smiling. So I really knew it. But it takes courage.
That's just like breathing. Yeah.
That's true.
It's the same thing. Yeah. So some people will dance, they'll move their body. Anything really that brings your awareness back to your body is a good starting point. It's a good starting point. Sometimes you're not in a situation where you can get up and dance and really move. That's why I always focus on the breath, because the breath you could do when you're sitting, if you're at work, at the office, whatever. You can close your eyes and take a deep breath and pull it back in. Moving, though, people will do yoga when they start to feel that way, stretching, things like that, whatever it is that gets that awareness back to your body. And if you have the freedom and the ability to do that, that's great.
Yes, everyone needs to find their own tools, own stuff, which one belongs to them and which is going to help them. But for me today, I was like, oh, what I'm doing. And I would like to remind also everyone, I hope, I strongly believe you're going to agree with me as well. Putting the hands on your heart and giving that breathe, like you just only said, that also is going to help. Yeah, just when you release that stuff. But how about when somebody is going to lose? Let's go talk about the losses in our life, because lots of grief, lots of like something. How can I say? It's not in our control, because somebody is going to pass away. There's a lot of accident is going to happen. Actually, I know it's not any accidents, but everything is being created already. But as a human, we experience that stuff anyway. So how we can encourage ourselves to accept that situation in our life, because that's really hard, difficult time going through and
very
learn
difficult.
the lesson.
And I've been through that with my parents. Fortunately, I had a very strong connection with my higher self and my guides. And that really, for me, was key. But the thing is to realize that this body is being created by you to have an experience. So what happens is when we become stricken with grief, we are really identified only as the human, as the body. This is it. And we forget that we are infinite, multidimensional, energetic beings. Okay, so the more we suffer, it's because we're identified more as just a human being. We become a victim. Things are happening to us instead of realizing that we are creating this experience and everything is happening for us.
So for our growth, for our evolving and thriving through the life. But it's lots of us on the planet Earth. Some of us are really awake and some really aware of that stuff, acceptance and self-love, so we can encourage ourselves as fast as we can and as strong as we can. But some of us at the beginning of that process awakening, some of us, that's why I would like to dedicate this video for those people who are just only watching us and searching for the help. So definitely that allows us. So if you would like to describe, I don't know, in how many steps, maybe 5 steps, 3 steps, encourage them, accept them, their life fully, or accept them.
Okay. So let's start by saying to those who are at the beginning of this process, so you've been programmed since you were born. Society programs us to really focus on our external reality, focus on doing things, focus on becoming things. This is what religion does. This is what education does. And we go up the ladder from there. So constantly we're being told we need to do, which really creates this trauma within us of a lack, and we're not good enough. We got to continuously strive to improve and to get better. So that's where we're programmed, and everybody's programmed really from that perspective. We're all living in this collective society. So we start by realizing that that's happened, and that's okay. We're not victims. Okay, this is programming, and we came here, you came here to have an experience to reconnect with the truth of who you really are. So if you're at the beginning of this journey, you're going to start to recognize that opportunity to do just that. And being on this podcast right now and hearing these words between the two of us will wake many up and plant seeds to allow them to start to remember that they are beyond just this physical body. This is all an experience to be had to reconnect with that remembrance of who they really are.
Yeah, that's definitely your wise.
And I want to say something too, before we move on. Before I awakened, as I started to awaken, I've always been intuitive, but I had a really ramping up of synchronicities. Songs, music were big ones. On the clock, 11:11, 5:55, things like that were happening all around me. Now, these are not coincidences. There are no coincidences. These are messages, and these are messages from your higher self speaking to you to help you to remember and plant seeds within your consciousness so that it can blossom and expand. So if you're starting to see these things, know that they're not a coincidence. These are it's your divine energy speaking through you. So be aware of that. Take a moment, sit with that when you experience that. If you experience 11:11 on the clock, close your eyes, breathe, and sit with that a moment, and allow whatever is ready to rise up from within. And you may be surprised at what comes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But sometimes the people just only pushing and forcing. Sometimes saying,
Yes.
11:11, 12:12. Yeah, they're just only waiting for it. So don't wait. Just only allow this.
And they're trying to create a meaning around it. The mind will say, "Oh, what does that mean? I got to find what that means." We stop that.
No.
We stop that. I used to do that. We just take that break. That is a synchronicity. That is a pause. That is a break for you to stop and remember that you are connected to something greater than this body. Yeah. That's all that is. And you sit with that and you feel it and you remember that. That starts to reprogram you to the knowing that you're greater than your human form.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have to do anything. Just only allow this happen to
Nothing.
us. And just only setting the intention and putting on the shelf and just slightly a little bit coming and just only saying thank you, but not forcing, no pushing. But sometimes the people, I would like the people. I don't know why I'm saying, I don't like the word people. I have to change it as well. Because for me, it's like maybe avatar, human, no human. Oh, that's human is better. I would like to just only bring it the difference between accept something in our life and not accepting. I would like to just only bring that example, like if you've got a job, and that's a lot of people just only struggling, and the struggle is another emotion. Well, anyway, that's another blockages, another trauma stored in our body. But when they're just only struggling and they don't want to be in that job, and they don't have any opportunity to go and choose another one at that moment, so they have to accept. And how you can see that difference if you fully allow that accept, because acceptance, I don't know, just
acceptance. When we're talking about acceptance, we're accepting not really the situation. We're bringing it back. That's the effect. The situation, the job, is the effect of something that's going on within the body. Yeah. Okay, because the body's the cause. The reality is the effect. So when we're accepting, we're talking about accepting the moment. Okay, so how we're feeling in that moment. So if you're in a job that you don't like, the mind is going to start thinking, well, I have to find another job. Maybe I'm not in a situation where I could take that risk. Maybe I have to stay here, so I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling a victim of my circumstance, my situation. This is all creating a situation where you are being controlled and your energy is being controlled by an external situation. It's reversed. You're being controlled by the effect. You're allowing the effect to control how you feel.
Yeah.
So when you pull it back in and you simply accept how you're feeling in every moment, what happens is you get present and you allow something new to come forward, because you're accepting, you're detaching, you're saying, okay, I'll accept what my situation is. I'm going to accept how I feel right now. And that's where divine guidance rises up from. So when we make that a habit and make that a practice, we start to get in touch with our higher self and with our guides. And because we're getting present, we're creating space to allow that newness to come forward. And that could come forward in things that you weren't able to perceive because you were so identified with this victim mentality of being stuck in this job. Maybe there's an opportunity that's in front of you that you couldn't realize. But now, because you've accepted everything, you're able to perceive that opportunity.
Yeah.
You're more present. Does it make sense?
Shall we just only say we couldn't see the acceptance, or we couldn't see another opportunity. So when you accept, you're allowing to come the new to our life, new energy coming to our life. But how I can see, we've got that veil. That veil is always in front of us. So how we can remove it, that veil? Is any magic?
That's it. That's how we remove it. We remove it by getting present and finding that peace, and that peace can be found through acceptance. When we're, the mind is always trying to fix things. The mind always perceives a problem. If something comes up that we don't like, the mind is going to try to solve the problem. And our awareness goes out into our mental field. And with that, you've heard the term where your energy, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Your energy flows out into the mental field. It pulls you out of alignment with your higher self. You're no longer in peace. You get stressed. Cortisol starts flowing. All these wacky hormones put you into a fight or flight mode. Your body gets tense. Your energy gets stuck. And you suffer. That's really why we suffer. So when that happens, what's really happening physiologically within the body is we have energy. Our divine energy is trying to move through us. High frequency light is trying to ground and raise the frequency of our physical body. And we're resisting that because we're off in the mental field playing the victim, becoming the victim. When we can bring it back in here and breathe and just detach and accept what's happening and breathe and know that in this moment, everything is perfect. It allows that source energy to fully move through you and start to integrate into your body. And with that, that source energy is you, that is downloaded. We call them downloads, whatever term you want to use for it. There's awakening codes, DNA activations. That is you, your higher frequency light landing into this body. And that contains amazing, beautiful information that's available to you when you accept what's happening and get present.
Yeah, so just when you said that through the breathing, through the meditation, we can accept, and through the practice every day.
Yes, everything is temporary. When these situations happen that trigger us, it's temporary.
Yeah,
so we hold that in our mind. It's temporary. Yeah,
that's true. But if an experience is temporary, so it's not forever. Just when we can experience, it will be gone one day. I say, so let's go have a fun. Let's go play with that. I'm just saying. So that's why I decided this morning today. I just want to say, let's go have a fun with my feeling, because
exactly.
No one is going to take this away from me. I have to play with that stuff. So everyone needs to play with their own stuff, definitely. But
and did it help you? Right? That helped you, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a lot. I just only forgot after the 20 seconds, to be honest, about my legs.
Because you made a choice in that moment to not suffer.
Yeah,
to do something different.
No hugging.
To do something different. Yeah.
That's true. I'm not hugging and this stuff anymore, because I've got enough. That's supposed to be utilized and just only go and transmute for the beautiful, loving energy. So that I got much more energy now because I just only released something from my body. I'm so happy. Great.
Beautiful.
Another thing I would like to say, because we've got acceptance and ourselves, but also how we can accept the collective consciousness. That's so big topic. I would like to just only came spontaneously. I didn't expect that question, which is only downloading. How we can accept everyone around us.
Yes. Well, we start with accepting us because everything is a reflection. So the collective is a reflection of us. So every time we're triggered or we see something in the collective that needs accepting, we can help the collective by accepting that aspect of us because we're being shown something about us in that moment. So it all comes back to here. This is your universe. This is a reflection of you. So when we see things that need accepting, we accept it within us. And that changes the collective. It helps the collective to stabilize, to find peace, and become whole, and to grow and to ascend and go through this process. That's what the light workers are doing, right? That's what we're doing as light workers. We work on us, and that heals the planet.
That's true. That's really big. But sometimes the people just only putting in their victim position and they're blaming each other, judging each other. That's your fault. You've done this. That's why I'm suffering. But I didn't have that veil lifted up. Saying, I'm suffering on my own, and you're suffering as well because, and etc. So I'm just inviting everyone, go on your website and just only book the healing session with you. So definitely that will be mind-blowing for them. The veil will be lifted up, I would like to say, and they will see their life and from a different perspective, definitely different lens. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's
so many people have had amazing experiences that I've guided them through. But again, when we look at the collective, there's a lot out there that we could recognize within us. So when we're seeing people are stubborn, maybe they're arguing, maybe they're not seeing the bigger picture, it's not our responsibility to force them to do that because then we're resisting something that's coming up within us. We recognize that and we fully feel in the moment whatever's rising up within us. We can come back to the body and we fully feel it. And that raises the frequency of the collective because we're part of the collective. When we could raise our frequency, the frequency of everybody rises just a little bit and they start to see the light of who they are in us. We reflect that back to them.
Yeah. Yesterday I was recording the live on the Instagram and I was talking about the story, the planting the seeds. I was talking about our own garden. So look after your garden, know your neighbor garden.
Right.
Just go in your garden and plant the seeds and planting and watering, whatever you would like to do. And then you can see the beauty around you because your neighbor will be watching you and it will be repeating the same way, will be a little bit jealous.
Yes.
How you can see jealousy? So when somebody is jealous, how you can see that stuff? So you can see that, for example,
go ahead. No, yeah.
Okay, if somebody is, because a lot of people just experience that stuff as well. They're asking me, if somebody is jealous about, oh, you've got a beautiful garden. Let's go keep that garden simple. Oh, you've got a beautiful garden. Oh gosh, I would like to have that one, but I couldn't afford it or I couldn't do it because I don't have this, I don't have that, and all excuses is coming up. So how you can see that word jealous is something really good for us or something is really not suited for our highest?
That's programming. And again, that's the mind presenting itself with a problem. It's creating a problem. These emotions, these stuck emotions are coming up, and in the moment, they are perceiving a problem. And when we perceive a problem, remember, our energy goes off like this. So we separate ourselves. The veil gets thicker. We disconnect from our higher self and our guidance, our intuitive guidance.
Yeah.
So for people that are stuck in jealousy, they're seeing something in someone else that they know that they have. They know that they are, but they're resisting that. So again, we come back home. That's why I said in the beginning, it's very, very simple. When we could come back home and fully feel, if we're feeling jealousy, we fully feel that. We feel it and we accept it. that opens up the door for something new to come forward. And it could be information that shifts you on a different path, on a different life trajectory that completely changes your entire situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely.
Puts you in alignment with your guidance, with your soul purpose.
Yeah, that's definitely. So everything what we experience, and if somebody's watching us, they experience that jealousy or any kind of the uncomfortable feeling inside them, definitely they need to allow it that happen. Just go through it and feel it. But sometimes the people are really numb, and that's another story about the numbness. But anyway, let's go live with the numbness, another story, because now we need to fully accept what we experience.
Acceptance will start to cut through the numbness. That's the very first thing. Accept the moment, accept what you're feeling. We don't have to look beyond it. Just do that. That's like, if what we want to see the numbness as like dried mud, a layer of mud, the acceptance is taking a spade and sticking it into that mud.
Yeah. When you say numbness and when you said accepting in that moment, I said to myself anyway, when you accept and you start feeling, because you know that feeling, because you felt that emotion, you felt that movement inside you long time ago, but you're numb.
Yes.
But your body and your soul, actually no body, but your soul is seeking that feeling, because your soul know that will be beautifully experienced, that will be nurturing, and you will be able to grow and come back to yourself. So that's the only time we've got everything inside us. Just only allowing.
That's right. Yeah, when we're numb, it's because we're failing to acknowledge that. We're failing to accept those emotions, and we're off distracting ourselves and burying it within our body even deeper.
Yeah, that's all the problem.
And that's we get numb. We get desensitized really to it, because that emotion's always there.
Yeah.
And it just becomes, it's just like background programming running.
Yeah, that's true. That's the background. So unlearn what you've learned. That would be easy way. Would you mind just only say the three words and the 3 points, if somebody's listening us and would like to take this, I'm just only calling the spiritual tools inside the pocket and go through the life. Three things which is going to help them fully accept themselves. 3 important. Really 3 important.
Well, it's the doing of the breathing, the feeling, the breathing, the feeling, and accepting. Take a breath, fully feel whatever's there in the moment, and accept it, and continue breathing with that. Those are the 3 things. If you could start to do that, this is think of like kindergarten. This is like the first steps in a new you. So when you could start to do that and recognize that your mind is trying to control everything, and you could hit that pause button, breathe it in, fully feel whatever's there to be felt, because that's something that's coming up for you to experience in the moment, and accept it, and do that throughout your day, your life is going to change.
Wow. Is any particular number, is any specific number they have to do? I mean, how long? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour? I don't know, 6 hours.
Well, I do with my coaching clients, I will recommend them breathe, stop, pause, take a few moments, breathe, 5 breaths, 10 breaths. And we work in coaching over different breath work techniques to really get you anchored in the body. But do that 5, 6, 7 times throughout the day. And the important thing is to do it when you're feeling at peace. Okay. So when you're feeling at peace, because there's no resistance, or there's little resistance when you're feeling good. So you do it. And when we do that, when we're feeling at peace, we're cultivating a feeling of peace. And now when we get triggered, we've got the circuitry built to be able to go back into the breath, get back into the body, and easily cultivate that feeling of peace. And acceptance.
Oh, that's good. So no time. The time, it doesn't actually.
Whatever works. Yeah, whatever works. But I would do it, at least 5, 6 times throughout the day. Pause, take some breaths. When you're feeling good, if you're sitting around at night, unwinding, great time to breathe. When you wake up in the morning, take a few breaths, breathe in 5, 6 breaths. How are you feeling? Check in with your body. and do that throughout your day. And that builds new habits, new circuitry that become available to you when you get triggered.
Another thing is coming to my head now very quickly
Mm-hmm.
about the acceptance and forgiveness.
For acceptance and forgiveness, well, forgiving is something, it's that, again, we're getting back into programming now. When we're forgiving that we've done something wrong, we're holding ourselves to a standard that is created by the mind. Okay, everything is perfect. Everything here is an experience. So we detach from forgiveness, and this happens with others too. And we could start by forgiving others in our reality. Okay, but when we're seeing somebody needs to be forgiven, that's because we've denied an aspect of ourselves, and we need to pull it back together. We need to bring it back to the whole. So when that comes up, just like any other emotion, we fully accept it. We fully accept it. There's nothing really to be done other than to accept the emotion that's coming up in the moment. If it's triggered by forgiveness or a need to forgive, we breathe in and we feel it. We feel it. It's all the same process.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you stop resisting your body, anyway, everyone can try, listening us. You can just only try for the few seconds, just only sit down and relax and don't resist anything. Just when you lose your muscles, and then you can feel that relaxation. That's so beautiful stuff that you can experience.
Well, blood pressure drops. Physiologically, things change. Tension melts away. Your blood pressure drops. You start breathing in coherence with your heart, with your heartbeat.
That's true.
You match that up. You align that up. And that allows that divine energy to flow and for you to be able to perceive it. That's how we start to connect with our guides and our higher self, by getting our heart and our brain in coherence. And we're getting the left brain and the right brain talking to each other by building circuitry through there. And that energy starts to move and we start to be able to perceive it. And a new reality reflects out, one that's magical, one that includes things that were previously unseen. The veil starts to thin.
Yeah, and that all the synchronicity will become back straight away. Everything will be flowing effortlessly to them. Yeah, that's amazing. I would like to try add something. So when you sit down in that relaxation state, when you bring in that peace and the breathing, another thing came to me for anyone who would like to look younger. That I recommend for everyone. Just when you stop the time during the meditation, during that relaxation, everybody looks like 18, 20 years old.
Yeah,
that's proven. That's proven straight away.
Yes, and that's that change in the body and the physiology, because when we're constantly in struggle or in resistance, we're in fight or flight mode, and our body is getting the signals, our cells are getting the signals from the subconscious programming, which is constantly like, closed off. It's not a coherent signal. So we tend to age faster. We don't heal as quickly.
No.
When we could get presence, that all changes.
Yeah. Because I would like to say, but the body doesn't know the time. The body is like, oh, it's happening now. I need to fight. I need to fight. I don't want to go there. I need to fight. I need to survive. So we can play with that body. That's why we just only chosen that body when we came here. That's amazing, fantastic stuff we just only talk about today. Wow.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So powerful.
Yeah. So fun. I would like to close a little bit and slowing down because last time you just only shared some information around what helped you during the uncomfortable time. But what helped you, if you'd like to share with some my audience, is anything else helped you during that time, uncomfortable, overcoming something in your life? Any mantras, any exercise, any movement?
Yeah, for me, again, I do a lot of breath work when I get triggered, when things come up. If I'm going through like a dark night of the soul period, I will breathe. I will get present. I will breathe. I will sit in meditation. And, sometimes your mind is going crazy and it's hard to sit there and find the peace, but we do it anyways. And we breathe and we focus on breath and we just learn to observe the mind and observe the thoughts. But I have, learned or know that connection, even though I can't always perceive the connection with my higher self, and even my guides, sometimes there'll be blackout periods, let's say, right, where I'm not really reaching them. I know that they're there, and I know that there is something within me that is creating that blockage. So it all goes back to nothing external. It's all within here.
Inside.
And the longer you decide not to work with that or accept that, the longer those periods of struggle occur. We can drag them out. So we accept it. If we're not connected, we accept it, but we get back in and we find the peace and we feel everything that's coming up.
Yeah, that's true. That's
okay.
True. So we have to stop blocking that connection with our spirits, with our angels.
We're doing it. Yeah. We're blocking it ourselves.
That's true. That's true. Blocking out. Yes. Staying between beautiful life. Anyway, where do people can find you again?
soulintegrationcoach.com. I'm on Instagram at Soul Integration Coach. That's where a lot of my content is. YouTube at Marc Abrams. I'm on Facebook. I've got a couple courses on Udemy, but the main place is YouTube and Instagram. So it's at Soul Integration Coach and then at Marc Abrams on YouTube.
So they can go on your website and they can book the session with you over there, or they can
go on the website, book a session with me. I've got links to all my social media right there.
Okay.
I've got some courses online, and some programs. And the upcoming Quantum Light Body Anchoring program will be launched, I think, within the next week or two. So that's really, really exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Brand new healing modality, straight from the Arcturians.
That's amazing. Everyone who is listening, guys, just go and have a look and just only find that spot, find that place for yourself. Thank you so much for coming again. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
That was so beautiful, and lots of wisdom, and lots of knowledge, and lots of experience.
A lot of energy moving. Yes.
Oh, it's a lot. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Gabriela.
Bye.